You wake up every morning wearing the same invisible chains. The same name tag of limitation pinned to your chest. The same story of, "This is just who I am," playing on repeat in your mind. But I tell you today with the fire of spiritual truth, your old identity is not your destiny. It is your prison. And today we break free. Listen to me carefully. That voice in your head that says, "I'm just not good with money." That is not you speaking. That is the warden of your limitation. That whisper that says, "I always mess things up." That is not your truth. That is the guard keeping you locked in a cell you were never meant to occupy. You have been living under house arrest by your own tongue. Every time you say, "I'm not the type of person who," you are signing another year onto your sentence. Every time you declare, "I've always been this way," you are throwing away the key to your own freedom. But here is what the prison doesn't want you to know. The door was never locked. The chains were never real. The bars were made of words, your words. And what words created, words can destroy. The first law of freedom. Your identity is not your history. You are not the sum of your mistakes. You are not the echo of your trauma. You are not the reflection of what others said about you in moments of their own pain. Your identity was never meant to be a museum of your wounds or a monument to your failures. I have watched people carry the corpse of who they used to be like a badge of honor. "I'm just damaged. I come from a broken family. I'm not lucky like other people." These are not confessions, they are contracts, spiritual contracts that bind you to a reality you were never meant to accept. But listen closely. Every contract can be broken. Every agreement can be dissolved. Every prison sentence can be commuted by the governor of your own awakened consciousness. The woman who says, "I always attract the wrong men," has made herself a magnet for exactly that experience. The man who declares, "Money just slips through my fingers," has commanded the universe to honor that very demonstration. You are not describing your life, you are decreeing it. Your subconscious mind is like a faithful servant. It doesn't question your commands. It doesn't argue with your declarations. When you say, "I never get ahead," it responds with, "Yes, sir. I'll make sure of that." When you declare, "Good things don't happen to me," it salutes and gets to work creating evidence to support your claim. But here's the revolutionary truth. This same servant will just as faithfully execute commands of abundance, success, and joy if you dare to speak them with conviction. The architecture of your prison cell. Let me show you how you built this prison around yourself, brick by brick, word by word. Every limiting belief you've accepted became a wall. Every negative declaration became a bar. Every time you agreed with lack, you poured concrete on your potential. The first wall was built when you said, "I'm not smart enough." The second when you declared, "I don't have what it takes." The third when you whispered, "People like me don't get opportunities like that." Year after year, conversation after conversation, you've been the architect of your own confinement. But if you built it with words, you can demolish it with words. If you constructed it through declarations, you can deconstruct it through new declarations. The same power that created your limitations can create your liberation. Your mouth, the warden or the liberator. There are two voices competing for the microphone of your mouth. One is the voice of the prisoner. The old identity that speaks from scarcity, from fear, from the memory of every time you fell short. This voice loves to rehearse the evidence of your limitations. It finds comfort in the familiar cage of, "I can't, I don't, I never." This voice has a vocabulary that keeps you small. It speaks fluently in the language of doubt. It's quick to remind you of every failure, every rejection, every time you tried and didn't succeed. It whispers things like, "Remember what happened last time you tried that? You know you're not good at these kinds of things. Who are you to think you deserve better? Be realistic about your limitations. Don't get your hopes up. You'll just be disappointed again." But there is another voice. The voice of the free self. The voice that remembers who you were before the world told you who to be. This voice doesn't speak from history, it speaks from possibility. It doesn't echo wounds, it declares wholeness. It doesn't repeat the past, it creates the future. This voice has a completely different vocabulary. It speaks in the language of potential. It's fluent in possibility. It says things like, I'm learning and growing every day. I'm becoming the person who can handle this level of success. I'm attracting opportunities that align with my highest good. I'm worthy of all the abundance the universe has to offer. I'm exactly where I need to be to swap into the next level. Which voice you give the keys to your mouth? Which identity will you feed with your daily declarations? I tell you plainly, you cannot speak like a prisoner and live like royalty. You cannot declare limitation and expect liberation. You cannot name yourself with the vocabulary of bondage and wonder why breakthrough feels so distant. The great identity shift. There comes a moment in every awakened soul's journey where you must choose. Will you remain loyal to the story of who you were? Or will you author the truth of who you are becoming? This is not about positive thinking. This is not about pretending problems don't exist. This is about recognizing that the you who experienced those problems was operating from a false identity, and false identities create false realities. The you who struggled with money was the I don't deserve abundance you. The you who felt rejected in relationships was the I'm not worthy of love you. The you who felt stuck in patterns was the I can't change you. The you who feared taking risks was the I'm not brave enough you. But none of these identities are true. They are costumes you wore, roles you played, characters you embodied, because you forgot you had other options. Think about it this way. If you're an actor, and you've been playing the role of a beggar for so long that you forget you're actually wealthy, you'll keep asking for coins, even when you could write yourself a check. The role becomes so convincing that you forget it's just a performance. That's what's happened to your identity. You've been playing the role of limited for so long that you forgot it was just a character you were portraying. But the real you, the eternal you, has always been abundant, worthy, capable, and free. The Prison Break Protocol. Step 1. Stop introducing yourself by your limitations. Don't say, I'm not good at. Don't say, I'm terrible with. Don't say, I always. These introductions are invitations for your limitations to take up permanent residence in your reality. Instead of saying, I'm not good with technology, say, I'm learning to master technology. Instead of, I'm terrible with money, say, I'm developing my financial intelligence. Instead of, I always get nervous in social situations, say, I'm becoming more confident in social settings. Notice the difference. One statement locks you into a fixed identity. The other creates space for growth and transformation. Step 2. Refuse to answer when the old identity calls your name. When self-doubt whispers, you know you're not capable of this. Don't even turn around. That voice is calling for someone who no longer exists. When fear tries to remind you of past failures, respond with, I don't answer to that name anymore. When anxiety attempts to predict future disasters, say, that's not my story anymore. This takes practice. Your old identity won't go quietly. It will try every trick in the book to get your attention. It will bring up evidence from the past. It will create scenarios in your mind of everything that could go wrong. It will remind you of what others have said about your limitations. But here's what you must understand. The old identity is not trying to protect you. It's trying to preserve itself. It knows that if you truly step into your power, it will cease to exist. So it fights for its life by keeping you trapped in yours. Step 3. Begin to speak as your free self. Not the self you hope to become someday, but the self that exists right now beyond the prison of old patterns. Say, I am learning to. Say, I am growing in. Say, I am becoming the type of person who. This is where the transformation begins to accelerate. When you speak as your free self, you're not lying, you're prophesying. You're not pretending, you're practicing. You're not fake it till you make it, you're faith it till you see it. The vocabulary of freedom. Your free self has a completely different dictionary. Where the prisoner says, I can't afford it, the free self asks, how can I create the resources for this? Where the prisoner's self says, I'm prioritizing what matters most to me. With ready, the free self declares, I'm learning as I go. Where the prisoner says, what if I fail? The free self asks, what if I succeed beyond my wildest dreams? This isn't semantic gymnastics. This is identity renovation. Every word choice is either reinforcing your prison or dismantling it. Every phrase is either keeping you locked up or setting you free. Let me give you some specific examples of how to translate prisoner language into freedom language. Prisoner. I'm broke. Free self. I'm in a temporary cash flow situation that I'm actively improving. Prisoner. I never get chosen. Free self. I'm attracting the right opportunities at the perfect time. Prisoner. I'm not relationship material. Free self. I'm becoming the person who attracts healthy, loving relationships. Prisoner. I always mess things up. Free self. I'm learning from every experience and improving constantly. A prisoner. I'm too old to start over. Free self. I'm at the perfect age to begin this new chapter of my life. The new name in ancient times. When someone experienced a fundamental transformation, they were given a new name. This wasn't ceremonial, it was practical. The old name carried the old story, the old limitations, the old agreements with lesser versions of themselves. Jacob became Israel. Saul became Paul. Simon became Peter. Each name change represented not just a new identity, but a new destiny. I'm not asking you to legally change your name. I'm asking you to internally upgrade your identity. Stop answering to the anxious one, the unlucky one, the one who never gets chosen, the family screw up, the one who always struggles financially. These names were assigned by circumstances, not by your creator. They were given to you by others' opinions, not by divine truth. They were adopted during moments of pain, not received in moments of revelation. Your true name, your spiritual named, chosen, supplied, guided, protected, blessed, capable, worthy, abundant. These are not aspirations. These are facts. But you must begin to answer when these names are called. Breaking the generational chains. Some of you are not just imprisoned by your own limiting identity. You're carrying the keys to family prisons that go back generations. Your grandmother's relationship with money. Your father's fear of success. Your mother's belief that good things don't happen to people like us. You've inherited more than DNA. You've inherited beliefs, patterns, and limitations that were never yours to begin with. You're serving time for crimes committed by pain, trauma, and ignorance in previous generations. But I tell you with holy authority, generational curses are nothing more than generational agreements. And what one generation agrees to in fear, another generation can disagree with in faith. You are not bound by the DNA of doubt. You are not sentenced to repeat the patterns of your predecessors. You are the generation that says, it ends with me. You are the one who breaks the chain not with struggle, but with a new declaration of who you are and what you will accept. When you change your identity, you change your family's trajectory. When you break free from limitation, you create a new legacy. When you refuse to pass down the prison keys, you give your children and their children the gift of freedom. The daily prison break. Every morning you have a choice. You can wake up and put on the same identity you wore yesterday. The one that's too small, too scared, too scarred, or you can clothe yourself in the truth of who you really are. This is not a one-time decision. This is a daily resurrection. This is a moment, by moment choice to align yourself, talk with your true identity, rather than your historical experience. Your morning routine should include an identity check-in. Before you check your phone, check your thoughts. Before you scroll social media, scroll through your self-declarations. Before you face the world, face yourself with truth. Ask yourself, who am I choosing to be today? What identity am I stepping into? What version of myself am I feeding with my attention and words? When you catch yourself about to say, I'm just not, stop, breathe, and ask yourself, is this who I am, or is this who I was told I am? Is this my truth, or someone else's opinion about me? The voice of freedom, your free self, has a different vocabulary entirely. It doesn't say, I can't afford it. It says, how can I create the resources for this? It doesn't say, I'm learning as I go. It doesn't say, this never works for me. It says, I am of all good find. I'm growing into my qualifications. It doesn't say, people like don't get opportunities like this. It says, I'm exactly the right person for this opportunity. This is about telling yourself the truth. The truth that you are more than your past. The truth that you are equipped for more than you've experienced. The truth that your potential is not determined by your history. The Great Escape, I've seen it happen in an instant. A woman who spent 40 years calling herself financially cursed, suddenly declaring, I am a money magnet, and watching her bank account transform within months. A man who identified as unlucky in love, beginning to speak as divinely matched, and meeting his soulmate within weeks. A mother who labeled herself the anxious parent, shifting to, I am calm and confident in my parenting, and watching her children's behavior change along with her energy. A businessman who saw himself as just getting by, stepping into, I am a massive success, and having his company triple in revenue. What changed? Not their circumstances, at least not initially. What changed was their willingness to escape from the prison of old identity and step into the freedom of who they really are. The moment you change how you see yourself, you change how others see you. The moment you change how you speak about yourself, you change what the universe brings to you. The moment you change your identity, you change your reality. The prison guards that keep you locked up. Let me tell you about the guards that have been keeping you imprisoned. They're not external forces. They're internal voices that have convinced you that your cage is necessary. The first guard is the voice of safety. This guard tells you that staying small keeps you safe. It warns you that if you get too confident, too successful, too happy, something bad will happen. This guard has convinced you that limitation is protection. The second guard is the voice of belonging. This guard whispers that if you change too much, you won't fit in anymore. Your family won't understand you. Your friends will feel threatened. This guard has convinced you that growth equals abandonment. The third guard is the voice of evidence. This guard is always pointing to past failures as proof of future limitations. It says, look at what happened last time. Look at your track record. Look at the evidence. This guard has convinced you that your past determines your future. The fourth guard is the voice of unworthiness. This guard constantly questions whether you deserve better. It asks, who are you to want more? Who are you to dream bigger? Who are you to break out of where you came from? This guard has convinced you that wanting more is selfish or unrealistic. But here's what these guards don't want you to know. They only have the power you give them. They only exist because you believe they're protecting you. The moment you realize that these voices are not looking out for your best interest, you can dismiss them. Your liberation declaration, stand up right now. Look in the mirror if you have to, and make this declaration not as a wish, but as a statement of fact. I am not who I used to be. I am not bound by my past patterns. I am not sentenced to repeat old stories. I am not the sum of my mistakes, or the echo of others' opinions about me. I am a free soul, created for abundance, designed for love, equipped for success, and destined for greatness. Today I break out of every limiting identity. Today I refuse to answer to any name that doesn't honor who I truly am. The old identity dies today. The free self rises now. I speak as one liberated. I walk as one unleashed. I live as one who knows that my true identity is not my prison, it is my palace. Say this every morning. Write it down. Record yourself saying it. Let these words become the new soundtrack of your mind. The ripple effect of your freedom. When you break free from the prison of limiting identity, you don't just change your own life. You change the lives of everyone around you. Your freedom gives others permission to be free. Your breakthrough creates a pathway for others to break through. Your children will grow up seeing what's possible. When someone refuses to accept limitations, your friends will be inspired by your transformation. Your family will witness the power of identity shift. Your community will benefit from your elevated energy and expanded capacity. You become living proof that change is possible. You become evidence that transformation is real. You become a walking testimony to the power of choosing a new identity. The prison is empty. The guards were never real. The chains were made of words that can be broken by stronger words. The cell was built from beliefs that can be demolished by truth. You are not escaping to freedom. You are awakening to the freedom that was always yours. You are not becoming free. You are remembering that you always were. The prison of old identity has no power, except the power you give it with your agreement. Today, withdraw your agreement. Today, cancel your subscription to limitation. Today, check out of the hotel of, "This is just how I am," and check into the mansion of, "This is who I'm becoming." Your old identity was never your address. It was just a place you were visiting that you stayed at too long. But now the vacation from your true self is over. Welcome home to who you really are. Welcome to your freedom. Welcome to your true identity. The prison is empty. The door is open. Your new life is waiting. Now walk out and don't look back. Remember, every time you speak as your free self, you weaken the prison walls. Every time you refuse to answer to the old name, you strip power from the guards. Every time you choose freedom over familiarity, you step deeper into your truth. Your old identity is your prison, but only if you choose to stay locked up. The key has always been in your hand. The door has always been open. The freedom has always been yours. Today, choose to break free. Today, choose to walk out. Today, choose to live as who you really are. Your liberation starts now.